This episode of Grounded in Maine is sponsored by ESG Review. ESG Review magazine is published quarterly in February, May, August, and November, and is available for free in print and digital formats. ESG Review is devoted to environmental, social, and governance strategies, technologies, and investments. ESGreview.net is updated every Wednesday with 8 new stories and is home to feature articles, news items, and more. Visit esgreview.net to stay informed and help us spark the collaboration and awareness needed to develop sustainable economies and communities around the world.
There's a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Fagan. My guest today is Adam Cohen. He lives in Texas. I met him on a Facebook group, and he is a wealth of knowledge about so many agricultural things. So I am going to get right to him and let him tell you more about that. But so he is teaching, he's been teaching kids, and he has been teaching aquaponics and hydroponics, and he's had a mushroom business as well as other businesses. He's building his own house. So there's a little intro, and we'll get into that. And I hope that you enjoy this and get a lot out of it like I did. Today I'm talking with Adam Cohen. Adam, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Adam, you have so many skills that I'm very curious about. I know you had told me that you have a lot of interest in urban agriculture, which I also have a lot of interest in now that you mention it, because it's not something that I really thought about, sort of. I mean, I think of like worm composting when I think of urban agriculture, because you can do that anywhere. But as far as other urban agriculture, tell me about that. Like, what's your...
So to me, urban agriculture is really just any form of food production that is done within an urban setting. So that could be suburban, that could be within the inner city, within the city limits, whatever. But it's basically it's not a specific term as much as it is a locality-based term in my mind, at least.
Okay.
So doing gardening in your backyard, if you're in the city limits, well, that's urban agriculture. If you're a commercial farm producing, like in my case, mushrooms or lettuce or some other type of food product for sale, if you're in the city limits, that's urban ag as well. But it's more just a location than anything else in my mind.
Okay. And by locate, and so, all right, Adam, you're in Texas.
I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm in a little town south of Dallas, but basically Dallas-Fort Worth area, North Texas.
So that would be urban.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Extremely.
Okay. That's really interesting. And so then, I mean, I think of like urban as like small yards, but that's not necessarily true. That's my small brain, just like that's how I've processed it.
Well, and that's one of the big things, is that most people, when they think of a farm, they think of sprawling acreage, they think of, rows of crops, from here to the horizon, tractors, things like that. One of the things that I've learned and come to understand over the last few years is that a farm can be a lot of different things. When my partner and I were running the mushroom farm, we had 2,000 square feet of warehouse that we converted into our mushroom farm, and that was our entire facility. And we were able to reach a pretty substantial production level and distribution level just from that space. But I remember at one point we went for a grant, a USDA agricultural development grant, and the when the question of how big is your farm? It stopped at 5 acres. Like 5 acres was like the
That's
smallest
the
that they said. And we're
smallest.
like, yeah, we're not even 1/10 of 1 acre. So it's just it's what you want to produce out of it. But urban farms can be very productive for their space. Um, it's it's a different mindset completely than traditional agriculture for sure.
Right. I mean, so I know that like vertical gardening, that would be really,
Mhm.
if you have a smaller space, vertical gardening will let you fit a whole lot more. Is that something that you've worked with? Did you do that with your mushrooms?
So with our mushrooms, yes, actually, we built racks vertically along the walls of our fruiting room, and we were able to get between 4 and 6 blocks stacked vertically per square foot, and so that allowed us to get a lot more production in a smaller area. But even with our aquaponics and such, we would trellis our cucumbers and our tomatoes, 8 or 10 feet up, and get them to produce that way, so we could get plants closer together. Um, there are other people. There's, like Curtis Stone, which is a name that most people that do gardening have at least heard his name. But he advocates growing, in a 20-foot row or a 40-foot row, but very close together. You minimize walkways, and you can just produce more from a small footprint if you plan it correctly and plan your rotations and your crops and this and that. And even if all you have is a couple 4x8 raised garden beds for in your backyard for your family, if you plan your rotations and how you do things, you can get an amazing amount of food out of a very small area relatively easily.
That's super cool. And when you said Curtis Stone, I know Curtis Stone from like Food Network TV. Because he's been on, I don't know, was it Master Chef or some, maybe Top Chef? I don't know.
Um,
He was in some food TV show, and that's how
that
I've
I'm
heard
not
of him.
aware. Okay.
Unless there's another
So
Curtis Stone.
so I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't watch a whole lot of television, so he might have been. The Curtis Stone I know is he's from Canada. He pretty much like he I think he wrote one of the books, if not the book, on urban market gardening. So about finding a vacant lot in your neighborhood or in your area, finding the landowner and renting it from them, and building low tunnels and this and that, and then using that to produce food to sell in your local community.
Cool.
Um, so definitely somebody to look up. He's got some great ideas.
That's awesome. And so, excuse me. All right. So let's see, Adam, you also, you said that you worked with aquaponics and hydroponics. And I know I
Hmm.
had an episode about hydroponics, and I know that Emily told me what the difference is. And I know that they're aqua hmm, they're aquaponics and they have fish.
Hmm.
Okay.
So hydroponics is growing plants without soil. So you use a nutrient system, a nutrient solution to deliver the nutrients to the plants as they need them. And there's a lot of different methods to grow, from horizontal troughs to NFT to vertical systems and such. The Without getting too deep in the weeds on it, the primary difference between hydroponics as a system and what most people consider to be aquaponics is where the nutrients come from. In hydroponics, it's totally it's just plants. You use an inorganic nutrient solution, generally minerals that you mix together in the right proportions, and that's the nutrients. With aquaponics, you use the waste stream from some type of organism, primarily fish. Some people have used frogs, crayfish, some type of aquatic animal. But the waste from that is what provides the nutrient. the nutrient for the plants. So with aquaponics, you run that waste through a series of biofilters to clarify it, break it down, and basically release the nutrients into a usable form. Then you run that nutrient solution now through plants, and they take up the nutrients. That thereby cleans the water for when it circulates back to the fish, and the system keeps going through like that.
That's pretty cool.
So they are. They're a lot of fun. Um, I think commercially, aquaponics is it's a really really good story, and it's a really good thing that the public and the consumer can latch onto once they understand it. Um, I think that it's a lot harder than a lot of people believe to do really high level consistent production of crops using an aquaponic system. They're relatively easy to build. Uh, they're reasonably stable as long as you stay within the guidelines, and they work. But the benefit of hydroponics, in my opinion, is that you can really twist those dials and you can dial in the production for whatever crop you're doing, and you can get amazing production, quality, nutrition of food, and you can get the production time down. You can cut 10, 15, 20 days sometimes off of soil crops using hydroponics just because you can dial the nutrients in so well.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of what I got from my conversation about aquaponics, just that we have to test our soil all the time, and it seems harder to amend than like water would be.
Hmm.
Uh and so that might be a good thing because like I said, I'm a terrible gardener, but I want to garden and I try it every year, and I this year was a total failure. So, I'm thinking it might be soil, and so I want to try hydroponics, aquaponics, something. I
Hmm.
want to try some other system because what I'm doing is not awesome. So
Well,
that's
it's
really interesting, and I'd love to see if you have like a design, like a hydroponic
mhm.
design that you would recommend. Uh, and so you also you grow mushrooms. Obviously, you said that. And what are gourmet mushrooms?
Okay. So, in when was it? I guess it was yeah, it was 2019. In 2019, my business partner and I, my former business partner actually, he and I started together. We rented this warehouse and we built out our 2,000 square feet. We at that point we were growing four types of oyster mushrooms, so blue oysters, golden oysters, just a couple other varieties, and another type called lion's mane. So it was a big white pom pom looking one, and it kind of tastes like crab meat. Super good for the brain and for neurons and such. It's amazingly healthy, but it tastes like crab meat.
Wow.
And we were growing that, and we were selling primarily to restaurants. And then we I remember it clearly. We had just scaled up our production, and we were sitting at about 300 pounds of harvest a week, and
That's a lot
we
of
were.
mushrooms.
It is, especially for the time, but we had just landed a great client, a big resort, and they wanted 250 pounds a week from us. So as a
Oh.
business, that's where you don't want to be. So you don't want to have most of your sales going to one client. But that wasn't really the big part because we landed that client in February of 2020. And
Ah.
then everybody remembers what happened in March of 2020. That was COVID.
Yes.
And we watched here in Dallas where over a 6 day span, every single hotel, every restaurant, every resort was shut down, and they were mandated closed for 30 days, and then they were allowed to reopen for to go service. Well, in that 30 days, in that 6 days time span, we lost every single client we had. and we were dead in the water. So we quickly pivoted. We dropped, or we went from growing 5 species to growing almost, I think 14 was where we got up to. 14 different types of mushrooms in the same facility. So it got kind of crazy for us, and we pivoted to farmers markets. So we had been doing one farmers market prior to that. Basically, whatever we didn't sell to restaurants, we brought out to farmers markets. Some weeks it was 20 pounds, some weeks it was 2 pounds. But after COVID, we went to farmers markets. We actually went into 8 farmers markets a week. And we were doing home deliveries, we were doing kit sales, and anything we could to stay alive. And as we came out of COVID and such, we kept building. And uh, my partner and I actually decided to split up this past July. And I've now since left the farm. He's still operating; it's still going. But when I left in July, we were producing just over 800 pounds a week of 6 species,
Holy.
selling selling about a third of that to grocery stores, about just under uh, probably half of it overall went to restaurants, and about 10% went to farmers markets every week. And I really think that if he kept doing the things that we were working on and such, I really think we had the capability of hitting about 1,000 pounds a week out of that 2,000 square foot space. Now,
That's
so
amazing.
let's talk about urban ag for a second. So we were in the center of DFW. We were in it's a town called Arlington. We were 25 minutes from Fort Worth. We were 25 minutes from downtown Dallas. Um, I had major interstates in basically in 4 directions around the farm. Um, and we had taken over an old auto body repair shop. It was a 2,000 square foot space, 50 foot by 40 foot. And we built out all of our structures inside and everything. And that, I mean, that was well on its way to being $750,000 annual revenue in 2,000 square feet. So, from an agricultural perspective, that's that's insane. Trying to say that you're going to make that type of revenue on, a tenth of an acre or less than that. I mean, it's crazy. So the potential for urban ag to be able to produce a super high quality product, um, and be able to put it in the hands of a chef, you know, 2 hours, 4 hours after it's harvested, they loved it.
Heck
And
yeah.
when we started, we were 40%, 50% above comparable costs. Post COVID, we were actually cheaper for twice the quality. And so it was a no brainer to be able to sell to chefs. So that's it's a good niche to be in.
For
Food
sure.
miles and quality is going to trump price almost every time. At least that's what we saw with our chefs.
Right. Wow, that's very cool. Now, how did you get into this, Adam?
Um, I I wish there was a great story behind it. It just kind of was dumb luck. I went to A&M and M and I got degrees in biology, and I always had an interest in raising fish. I kept aquariums as a kid and such. I got into aquaponics honestly because when I started teaching, I had a group of kids that were bored with what I was teaching them. So I said, "Hey, here's this article I read about this guy basically using his fish tank to grow things that he can eat. You guys want to try it?" And they said, "Sure." And we dove down the rabbit hole together. From there, it went to me teaching workshops to the local community and this and that, and starting my own business. And that developed into a production farm. And then, um, fast forward, about 8 years, I've moved back to Texas. The aquaponic farm is producing 300 head of lettuce a week, and we're selling that at markets and such. And I have always been kind of interested in mushrooms. So I was on Facebook one night and I saw uh, a post from somebody saying that he was in the Dallas area and such. And so I messaged him, said, "Hey, you should come out and meet me at the farmer's market. Let's talk. I've wanted to grow mushrooms." And so he did, and we talked and we hit it off. And 6 months later, he and I were starting a mushroom farm, and it kind of went from there. And it, it's just being open to opportunities as they come and not being afraid to jump in with both feet when the opportunity presents itself. That's really the only thing that's gotten me through everything. I knew nothing about growing mushrooms when I started that, and all I knew was how to build stuff. So my partner would be like, "Okay, well, we need a room that we can keep at a constant temperature, we can add humidity, we can do this." And I went, "Okay, I'll figure out how to build it." And so we did. It
So
was
in 2 years, you went from knowing nothing to growing 800 pounds a week. Dang.
um
That's quite the story, Adam. Like, that's not no story.
I didn't say it was no story. I just said it wasn't, that my part in it wasn't great. I mean, I full 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 credit where it's due. I was not the master grower. My partner was absolutely the master grower. Without him, I would not have been able to do anything. That being said, my contribution, if he told me what he needed, I figured out a way to build it to make it work. I handled a lot of the behind the scenes, the bills, the business aspects, and this and that. But no, when it comes to actually growing, the 800 pounds, that was all my partner. He was the one that taught me all of that. At this point, yes, I could probably do it if I needed to, but there are other things that have my attention at this point. So I don't think I'll go back into mushrooms for a while.
Okay. Well, I mean, you were partners, so you each had your
Hmm.
part. You each had your part in that. So I'm sure that if you weren't there to build all the systems, it would have not been as easy for him. Anyway, that is
That's
a very
possible.
cool story, actually. And you also you taught in high school and community college,
Hmm.
and you taught
So,
CEA.
right, controlled environment agriculture at the community college in New Mexico. And this year actually is, if I'm remembering right, I think this is year 18 that I've been teaching. So I've done middle school, high school, community college, pretty much every math and science you could think of in middle and high school. And then when I was at the community college, we taught, like you said, CEA. So it's basically any type of agriculture done inside of a controlled environment. So think a greenhouse or fully indoors or in like a shipping container farm or such. But basically, CEA is the shorthand for you're in an environment where you, within reason, control the temperature, humidity, airflow, lighting, um, basically all the variables required for growth. You have some level of control over them. Obviously, the more indoors the environment, the more control you have. But we taught classes in greenhouse design, in construction, in lighting. We had hydroponic and aquaponic classes, but yeah, it was a great program. At the time that I was there, it was the only or one of two, if I remember, actual degree programs in the country. So it
Yeah,
was it was
I was
pretty
just gonna
cool.
say I've never heard of that. That's very cool. So you, but so you were teaching math and science and all kinds of other stuff, and then this course came up, and you were basically sold on that, and that was
So
it.
yeah, so I went to high school in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and so I had connected with a guy who actually started the program there, a few years earlier, and he was at the point where he was moving on to a new opportunity, and he called me up one day and basically just said, "Hey, do you want the job?" And I kind of was like, "Yeah, I can't really pass that up." So we jumped at it, and I went and did that for a couple of years, and it was a lot of fun. It really was.
That's awesome. I mean, what a great subject to teach people, because our environment is so uncontrolled. So to be able to
Hmm.
build something that is more effective, that's amazing. I can't. Where's the other place that that's offered?
So, so this program was at Santa Fe Community College in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And the program's still active. It's still there. Uh, they have somebody else running it now. But I believe they actually have a lot of the courses on available online. So I think you'd be able to sign on and take a lot of them even remote. I know Auburn has a few short courses and such that are available, and there are several colleges and such that have uh, distance classes where you do the coursework remotely, and then during the summer you come on site for a 2 week or such period to get the hands-on portion. So there's a half dozen programs. I just can't really think of them off the top of my head right now.
That's very cool. What a great opportunity that was. It just
It
you just
was.
you it's almost like you just kind of fall, these opportunities just fall into your lap because you're open to that. It's like,
It is, and it it's a mindset. It's you just have to be open to the opportunities. My wife told me long ago, just stop forcing things and just wait for what the universe tells you is right. And as much as I fought it for years on years, it just kind of seems like it keeps happening that way. Um,
so are you saying she was right?
I did not say that in as many words, but she's glaring at me from across the room. So yes, yes, I am. No, she is by far the best thing that's ever happened to me, and the best choice I've ever made is to stay with her for the rest of my life. So
Oh my
she teaches
gosh.
me she teaches me how I should do things every day.
So what is next for you, Adam? I know the mushroom thing has, well, and you're building your house. You're building your house right now.
Yes. So I have joined the ranks of the insane, and I am trying to. So let's see, what is next for me right now? So I'm building my house. Now mostly I'm building my house because I'm a poor teacher and I can't afford to pay somebody else to build it for me. But I am using a series of skills, I guess, that I've built up throughout my life. So it is livable at this point. I've got water and power and AC, so it's working, but it's a work in progress certainly. I have a full-time job. I teach physics and engineering at a local high school, and I'm doing a few other projects around there. Uh, but on top of those two, small tasks, I am in the planning stages for a new urban farm that I will be launching in the spring. I'm not exactly sure when it'll start. I've got to get some background for it, and I'm also doing another venture. I'm trying to basically take all of the skills that I've developed over the last 14 years in aquaponics, hydroponics, mushrooms, greenhouse design, basically all of the things that I've done. And I am going to be turning that into basically DIY manuals. And I want to put that out on the web so that you and anybody could access it easily.
Oh
So
my gosh.
that's really kind of that's my big project. That's my long term thing. So uh, actually tomorrow I'm going to be building a prototype for a small hydroponic system. It's called an uh, underflow current or underflow system, where basically you use a pump to pump the nutrient system up into the bottom of the plants
Huh.
instead of having it drip down from the top. Um,
Oh.
and I'm going to build that out of some PVC pipe and some old trash 20-ounce Coke bottles, plastic bottles. So I'm going to actually do that tomorrow and make a video of it and post it up on my YouTube. And, I have all of this information that I want to be able to put out so that other people can use it. I think that's the best thing.
Heck yeah.
Over the
Sign me
years,
up.
over the years, I've met a lot of teachers that want to do this in their classrooms. And really one of the big things that's happening in schools these days, at least the schools that I see, is everyone's trying to get students to do things that are more hands-on, that are more creator based, and small projects where the kids can get the experience in building something and growing something and seeing that it's not super challenging. um that's what they need. I guess I was fortunate. I grew up with parents that were in construction. So when I was a little kid, my parents built restaurants. When I grew older, they built houses. So for me, doing chores and earning money wasn't cleaning up the house or doing my laundry. It was, okay, let's go to the job site. And today you're going to go help the framers. Tomorrow, or next weekend, you're going to go help demo this wall in this restaurant. And so it's one of those that like I look at me building this house and I'm just like, yeah, I built a set of stairs. I built a wall. To me, it's just, I did it. But
Right.
I keep talking to people and they keep looking at me like I'm crazy when I just say, oh, yeah, I did this. And if I can provide a manual that helps remove some of that fear or some of that apprehension or anxiety about, well, how do I build this? Well, then that's kind of the best thing that I could do for somebody, is to help show them that it's not hard to build stuff. It just takes a little bit of time. So those are the small things I'm working on.
Right. I know that. Oh, whoops. Like for me, I did not grow up doing those things. So I my pen is not working. Um, that is like mind blowing for me. That you that you just have so much knowledge, that you just absorb everything, and that you have so much to share. Like I mean, one of the things that I've become really passionate about is teaching kids gardening. But I know that when I was growing up, and you're a little bit younger than me, so you probably had like industrial arts or home ec or some stuff like that when you were in school. But they don't have
It
that
was there, but
anymore.
I never took it, although it was there.
You probably
But
like
yeah, no,
skipped
they
that
don't exist.
grade because you're building houses when you're 8 years old. Um, or restaurants when you're 8 years old, I guess, because your parents did that when they were older. But yeah, I could teach your class. I could teach your class. But I just it's mind blowing, but it's some brains can absorb more and have. I'm not a super creative person. I'm just not. But so I'm in awe of your skills. And I know that
Yeah.
that might feel uncomfortable for some people, but I just want you to know I am in awe. Like I cannot wait to get on your YouTube and like subscribe for all of your awesomeness.
Well, thank you for saying that. I mean, I remember one time when I was teaching gardening at one of the schools, one of my schools years ago. Uh, at the beginning of the school year, when I I showed them how to build raised garden beds. So we took four boards and we screwed them together, and then we took bags of dirt and we just filled it up. Super complicated methodology.
Right?
Um, but I had two boys, and they were, let's see, this was a freshman class, so they were ninth graders. And I mean, this was probably 8 years ago. No, probably more than that, probably 10 years ago. And they wouldn't pick up the dirt in the bags and pour it into the frame because they were afraid they were going to get their tennis shoes dirty. They were they were afraid that they were going to get their white shoes dirty.
Right.
And so they stood there and they wouldn't do anything. There's nothing I could do to get them to do it. So we build this thing and we plant carrot seeds. The simple thing. Fast forward 90 days and it's time to start thinning the carrots so we can get full-size carrots. I had to break up a fight between those same two boys
because they couldn't
they
wait
were
to.
they were rolling on the ground fighting each other because one of them had started eating a carrot that they thinned without sharing. I mean, they went into this literally not knowing anything about gardening and not knowing how to do it. And then within 3 months, they were fighting each other about who could eat a carrot straight out of the soil, not even washing it. I mean,
Right.
kids want to know where their food comes from. People
Yeah.
want to know that it's not this scary, impossible thing, that it's easy. And, I've talked to people that are like, well, there's no way I could grow enough to support me. So what's the point of even trying? Well, grow a tomato plant, grow a pepper plant, grow a basil plant in your window, grow something, and just be aware of the connection of what it takes to do it. It's being aware of what it takes the farmer to grow your food is a better awareness than not being aware of what it takes. And, you know, in the news
Right.
today, you hear people complaining about, it's $6 for a dozen eggs. Well, what people don't realize is that costs for feed and this and that, they've gone up 300% in the last 2 years.
Right.
It's food is more expensive. And do you want to pay for good food or do you want to pay for medicine to mitigate the bad food?
Right.
It's just 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But either way,
Right.
you're paying for it.
Right. Well, and it just gives you that appreciation and that respect for where it comes from. And that's kind of what
Mm-hmm.
well, there it's like twofold sort of my thoughts on kids learning gardening. One, they're they're providing their own food. Like not that
Mm-hmm.
the school shouldn't provide the food, but if they have that appreciation for the food, where it's coming from, and just the knowledge that they will be able to grow their own food in the future, and it's something to do outside, something
Mm-hmm.
active and not necessarily gym class, but something active, something using their hands and creating something.
Absolutely. Um, Sorry, we're getting some wind here. So I'm just hearing some noises in the house.
Are my walls coming in?
Yeah, hopefully
Oh
not.
boy. But this is so I I did not expect this from this conversation. I'm so psyched. I'm so glad that you responded to my
Awesome.
comment. But so, Adam,
Oh, absolutely.
when I say the word sustainability, what does that mean to you?
Oh,
I know it's a
uh,
big word.
it is a big word, and really, it's almost a loaded question because sustainability can mean so many things. If I had to break it down real simply, I would say it's community. It's being able to support everything around you. So it's not just, to me at least, I don't view it as just a green ecosystem save the planet type thing. It's, everything has to be sustainable. That's business, that's wages, that's infrastructure, that's the environment, and it has to be a balance. Um, and a lot of that, I think, boils down to we need to shorten our transport chains. We need to start producing, at least when it comes to food, we need to start finding ways to reduce food miles and produce as much as we can locally, um, to make things better. But it's to keep the nutrition high and to keep the dollars in our communities. I think there was a study once that I read that said that every dollar spent at a farmer's market is the equivalent of $10 or $15 because that dollar stays with the local farmer and then it gets spent back and forth around the community. So to be sustainable, in my mind, is finding that balance between the economic system, the environmental systems, and everything else, so that we all can live our best life in the best with the best quality of life. So it's there's a lot of layers to it, I think.
That's beautiful. I'm a little teary thinking about that. I appreciate that a lot. Um, and I love that you brought in community, because there's so much that we can all gain from each other, and learn from each other, and we need to take care of each other, and that's why we are living here now. Apparently we need to learn some stuff, but that's awesome. I really, really like that. And then, so Adam, how can people follow you and learn more? It sounds like you've got a YouTube channel.
I do have a YouTube channel. Right now, it doesn't really have anything on it because I've just kind of parked it and I'm waiting to get some of the content created and up there. Right now, it just has a bunch of physics problem workthroughs that I've put up there for my students. But very soon, that will have a lot of information, a lot of videos that people will find valuable. Honestly, right now, probably the best place to find me is on Twitter. Uh, at I am Adam Cohen. So pretty easy. But
Okay.
there and on LinkedIn, but Twitter's probably the best place to find me. And that's really going to start being a better place probably here February, March. I'm just I'm just planning how to get a lot of stuff out there for people. So I'm in the process of getting a website up and running and such. It's happening faster than I had thought. The response to what I've put out kind of as feelers to see if there was an interest has been kind of overwhelming. And
Yes,
so
yes,
I'm
there's interest.
I'm kind of fast tracking a lot of my plans that I thought was going to be 6, 9, 12 months down the line. I'm now like, okay, can I do that next month? So it's coming.
Okay. And do you have, are you planning to have a separate YouTube channel for these skills? Or are you going to use your
No,
current?
I think I'm going to put it all in one place. So you're going to laugh at me. So the reason that the physics work through videos are on there is because I was kind of disappointed in the way my students were responding to what I was teaching them in physics this year. So I decided to write them a book. And so these are work through problems or work through videos for the problems that I wrote them, just so that they had resources. So that book is one that I'll probably put up as well, so that if somebody's homeschooling or they're having trouble with their own physics class, they can have the notes and the problems that I've written and go with that. So like I said, I've done a lot of things in the last 20 years, and if I can put that content out there and it be useful to somebody, then, I just kind of feel like that's what I should do. So, no, it'll probably all be in the same place once it gets up there, but let's see, what do I have planned for the next couple months? In March, I'm going to do a greenhouse workshop here on my property. We're going to hands-on build a greenhouse. So
Awesome.
there will be some videos coming from that. There will be a manual or two on how to build a pipe bender so that you can bend your own hoops and this and that, and where you can buy your supplies and things. Um,
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll have, 4 or 5 different manuals on how to build different types of aquaponic systems, hydroponic systems, and videos for all of that. I'm going to play around with some algae culture methods, and I'll probably get some mushroom grow kits and show people how to do that. I want to kind of play around and have some fun with it myself. But one of the things, I mean, I've taught for nearly 20 years. So being able to use that experience to then teach people how to do these things, it's a skill set that I have that I think, as you were saying, I think some people will find it valuable. So that's kind of my
100%.
my plan for the near future.
That's awesome. So you have not given your YouTube info yet? Are you not ready to
Um,
share that?
to be perfectly honest, I don't remember exactly what it is. So I will
Okay.
tell you what, I will share it with you down the line when it goes, and you can add it to the notes for this episode, and that way anybody that listens to this in the future can come find me.
Perfect. Awesome, Adam. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to your wife for letting me have you for this hour. Um, is I I just really appreciate everything that you're saying and everything that you're doing, and you're teaching kids, which is amazing. You're teaching these skills that people are not taught. So it's really, really important. And I know
Awesome.
that
Well, thank
um, I know it's physics right now, but it sounds like you're putting a lot into that, and uh,
well,
people don't
thank you
always
for
get that.
saying that. I
Sure.
appreciate that. And yeah, like I said, Twitter's the best place to find me. If
I am.
anybody out there listening to this, um, has a question about hydroponics, aquaponics, mushrooms, biology, algebra, whatever, um, send send me a message on there. If I can't answer it quickly and easily, I'm sure I have a resource that I can point somebody to that would be able to answer their question. And you know, that's what I want to do. I want to put the information out there and to help people find what they can and to find that they have the strength and the knowledge to do it themselves. So
Mm,
yeah, just I am Adam Cohen on Twitter. Go ahead and
sweet.
find me.
Very cool. And I love the DIY aspect of it. That's very cool because everyone can't afford the, as you know, the construction costs and everything are a little
Yeah,
up there.
I think I ran the numbers. This would have cost me almost double over my materials costs, so almost three times what I'm paying. Um,
Right.
if I had hired somebody else to do it, so it is frustrating and it's taking forever, but I have no mortgage. I this is going to be paid off as soon as I get it finished. So it's a good place to be. It makes me feel a lot more comfortable.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad that you reached out.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. It's
Have a
been great
great
talking to you.
evening. Take care.
You as well. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye, Adam. I want to just take a quick second and thank my guest again. I also need to thank Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast and Jane Bolduck for her amazing music. And thank you for listening.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, how do I get there from here? 'Cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. We'll find a way to soothe the sickness. We'll heal the hate with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, yeah, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder